There are people who enter a room and instantly draw every eye without saying a word, without displaying anything. They are not loud, nor do they chase attention, yet their presence alters the very air around them. You sense a quiet gravity, a pull that cannot be faked and cannot be bought. That magnetism does not come from appearance or instant approval, but from a steady inner strength forged through discipline and self-command. While most of us spend our days seeking the acceptance of others, they have chosen another path, to root their worth within themselves. The Stoic knows that everything external is fragile, and only our mind and our actions truly belong to us. When you learn to turn inward instead of chasing the noise outside, you begin to uncover a power that cannot be shaken. And that is where we begin. 1. Possessing independence. Independence does not mean rejecting all relationships or living apart from the world, but learning not to let your worth be bound by the eyes or approval of others. In modern life, it is easy to be caught in the cycle of comparison and the hunger for recognition. You post a picture and wait for likes. You make a decision but immediately seek agreement from friends, colleagues, even strangers. This habit robs you of your greatest power, the power to trust yourself. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that it is absurd to love ourselves more than anyone else, yet value the opinions of others above our own inner voice. Independence is the reversal of that paradox, the act of listening to and respecting your own judgment first. It does not mean closing yourself off, rejecting advice or feedback, but being steady enough to receive counsel without being swept by every wind. Independence is built through the smallest acts. It may be choosing the meal you truly want instead of copying what others order. It is wearing clothes that make you comfortable and confident, even if they defy current fashion trends. It is giving your weekend to activities you love, instead of joining in performances of busyness just to impress others. Seneca once said, "The brave are the free." When you have the courage to stand on your own, relationships become more genuine, for you are no longer clinging to be filled. Independence is not distance, but the ability to choose connection from a soul already whole. And this makes you naturally magnetic, for inner steadiness and confidence are always recognized without a word. 2. A signature scent. Some memories are tied to words, to images, but others are stirred only by a fleeting fragrance. You may have stepped into a room and suddenly remembered someone because of a familiar scent in the air. What is strange about scent is that it transcends language, needs no explanation, yet imprints itself deep in memory for years. This subtlety makes fragrance a silent signature you leave behind in the world. A signature scent is not about chasing luxury brands or overwhelming others with something too strong. Instead, it lies in restraint, in choosing a fragrance so fitting that it becomes a natural part of you. Some choose the freshness of citrus, others the warmth of wood, and some only the clarity of soap or sun-dried clothes. Each choice, when made with intent, reflects your character and spirit. The Stoic believes that every act, even the smallest, reflects the inner life. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul takes the color of its constant thoughts. If your mind leans toward clarity and discipline, even the detail of your scent becomes evidence of self-respect and care. A carefully chosen fragrance is not for praise, but for the completeness you feel as you step into the world. A signature scent also gives you a quiet confidence. When you know you are clean, orderly, and carry a fitting fragrance, you walk differently, you speak more freely, and you care less about what others think. Seneca reminded us that simplicity is the height of elegance. A subtle fragrance, unforced, endures longest in memory, like a gentle greeting that never needed words. 3. Quiet subtlety. There is a kind of presence not born of glittering clothes or loud stories, but of someone entering a space carrying calm. Quiet subtlety makes you respected without effort, remembered without speaking much. It is not coldness or distance, but a steady gentleness that makes others feel safe near you. Subtlety begins with composure. Such a person does not react hastily to surprises. In conversation, they do not interrupt, nor are they unsettled by silence. They know how to hold their mind steady, and that steadiness makes them stand out in a crowd. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "True strength lies in ruling the mind, not external events." When you walk with inner balance, your presence speaks louder than words. Subtlety also shows in gestures. A straight but relaxed posture, an eye that lingers just enough, a light, unforced smile, all send the message that you have nothing to prove, because you are already enough. Others may not notice each detail, but they always feel the energy of how you carry yourself. Another mark of quiet subtlety is restraint in speech. The subtle person does not speak to fill the void, but to bring value. They listen more, giving attention to others rather than waiting for their turn to shine. True listening makes others feel seen, and this silent recognition draws them to you. Seneca emphasized that simplicity is the mark of a deep mind. The same applies to dress. You do not need elaborate accessories to command respect. A well-fitted, clean, suitable outfit is enough to show respect for yourself and others. Quiet subtlety, then, is not in doing more, but in doing less with care. And this simplicity, restraint, and steadiness make you a refuge in the eyes of many. 4. Keeping mystery. In a world where everyone rushes to share every detail of their lives online, mystery becomes a rare power. Mystery does not mean closed, cold, or distant, but holding a private space no one else may enter. By not revealing all, you create room for curiosity, for others to want to know more, and that makes your presence magnetic. The mysterious do not hide things, they simply understand that not everything needs to be told at once. Instead of announcing every step, they let actions be the loudest voice. Marcus Aurelius advised that rather than debating what it means to be good, we should simply live that way. When you let results speak, others listen more than to any promise. Mystery also gives you control of your own story. You may share one layer first, your humor, kindness, or passion. Then let deeper parts reveal themselves over time. This is not manipulation, but respect for yourself, keeping your truest values safe and only for the worthy. Seneca taught that the strength of the mind is its ability to remain unbroken, and sometimes that shows in knowing what to withhold. In relationships, mystery keeps connection alive. When others realize there is always more to discover, their interest does not fade. The right degree of mystery does not create distance. It makes every conversation, every moment together, more valuable. In a world noisy with overexposure, restraint is a form of quiet elegance, making you distinct and unforgettable. 5. Cultural wisdom. A truly magnetic person not only knows how to be present, but carries depth in words and vision. Cultural wisdom is the ability to look beyond your familiar circle and see the vast, diverse world. It is not about memorizing academic knowledge, but about sincere curiosity, the willingness to listen and learn from other cultures, ways of life, and perspectives. Speaking with such a person feels like stepping through a new door into a wider world. It is easy to remain trapped in familiar conversations, work, entertainment, small news. But a culturally wise person brings more. They may speak of a classical philosopher and link it to a modern dilemma. They may describe a distant tradition and draw from it a common truth about humanity. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that life is shaped by the way we think, and the more perspectives you encounter, the richer your life becomes. Cultural wisdom nurtures empathy. When you see why a community lives as it does, you judge less quickly. Epictetus said that men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. By shifting your view, you not only understand others, but also yourself more deeply. Practicing cultural wisdom does not require grand journeys. It may simply be reading a book outside your usual interest, tasting food from a land you've never visited, or talking with someone whose life experience is far from yours. These small acts weave a wide tapestry where you see difference yet recognize the shared essence of humanity. And this openness makes you magnetic, for you bring not only insight but also warmth and generosity to those around you. 6. Complete presence. In an age where attention is fractured by endless notifications, messages, and glowing screens, a person who can sit down and truly listen has become rare. Complete presence is not a distant skill, it is a choice to tell the one before you, I am here with you in this moment. When you give such attention, you do more than create a conversation, you plant within the other the feeling of being seen and respected. Recall a time when you spoke to someone who scrolled through their phone as you talked. Though they nodded, you knew their mind was elsewhere, and you felt unimportant. In contrast, when someone sets the phone aside, looks directly into your eyes, and listens without interrupting, you leave the exchange feeling understood. That difference is the value of presence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to remain contained within the present, for the past is gone, and the future not yet here. Only this moment belongs to us. Complete presence is also a discipline of self-mastery. Our minds drift backward into regret or forward into worry. But when you bring it back to the present, you begin to truly live. Epictetus said we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen more than we speak. Listening is not only to understand others, but also to practice inner stillness. Practicing presence requires no elaborate rituals. It may be pausing for a deep breath before replying, eating a meal without the distraction of a phone, or giving your full attention to the one in front of you. These small acts create profound change, for they make you memorable not through polished words, but through the sincerity you carry. In a world full of distractions, complete presence is the most precious gift you can give, and the very thing that makes you naturally compelling. 7. Prioritizing self-care. There are people you meet, and within minutes you know they care for themselves. Not by outer perfection, but by a calm energy, a clarity in their eyes, and the way they meet others. It is the mark of one who values the nourishment of body and mind. Self-care is not indulgence, but steady discipline, a constant reminder. I am important enough to give myself time. In modern life, we easily neglect true needs. We stay up late for work, eat in haste, replace sleep with coffee, and convince ourselves we are fine. Yet fatigue, stress, and lack of focus always reveal themselves, for body and mind mirror how we treat them. Seneca said, "No one can be at peace without learning to live in harmony with themselves." That harmony begins with small but consistent choices. Real self-care goes beyond appearance. It is eating well rather than chasing convenience, moving your body to stay strong, sleeping enough to keep the mind clear, and guarding mental health. At times, it means knowing when to say no, not from selfishness, but from knowing your limits. The Stoics remind us that we cannot serve others if we ourselves are drained. Caring for yourself is also an act of self-respect. Each time you keep a small promise, going to bed early, exercising, or taking a few quiet minutes, you strengthen the trust that you can rely on yourself. Ignore it often enough, and that inner respect erodes. Self-care, then, is not luxury but foundation for every part of life. When you are strong, clear, and at peace, you not only live well for yourself but show up better for everyone around you. 8. Spreading joy and humor. There are those whose mere entrance lightens a room. They need not tell loud jokes or demand attention. Their cheer, ease, and ability to find light, even in difficulty, make others want to be near. Joy and humor are not accidents. They are conscious choices to refuse to let circumstances steal your spirit. The Stoic knows happiness does not come from outer events, but from how we meet them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." When you choose to focus on the good, you sow within yourself the seed of calm. Joy is not blind optimism, but a steady resolve not to let sorrow linger beyond its due. Humor is the same. It is not in mocking others, but in laughing at yourself, at small mistakes, reminding yourself life is already complex enough. When you can smile at awkward moments or recount your errors with lightness, you create a safe space where others too can reveal their imperfections. Carl Jung said that accepting oneself is the hardest task, and gentle humor is often the bridge toward that acceptance. Practicing joy and humor does not mean being cheerful every moment. There are weary days. Yet instead of letting mood rule all, you choose to notice one reason for gratitude, one reason to smile. It may be a small moment, a passing joke, or simply the gift of one deep breath reminding you that you are still here. Nurture this habit, and joy becomes the natural energy you carry, felt by others around you. In a world heavy with worry and tension, your presence becomes a breeze of relief, showing that whatever happens, there is always a lighter way to walk through it. 9. Leading with compassion. Some people lead not by force or display of power, but by the safety they bring. Near them, you feel heard, understood, and respected. That is the strength of compassion, silent, yet able to change the atmosphere of any space. In a world often dominated by competition and ego, compassion becomes rare and precious. Compassion is not weakness, but courage. To open yourself to another's pain requires enough strength not to be swept away by it. Carl Jung said that only when you know your own darkness can you truly understand another's. This means that instead of judging quickly, you pause and remind yourself, perhaps they are enduring something I cannot see. Such an approach does not excuse wrong actions, but it allows you to respond with calm and kindness. Marcus Aurelius wrote that human beings are born for one another, and if you cannot teach them, learn to bear with them. This spirit reminds us that compassion does not always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it is simply listening without interrupting, asking sincerely when someone is down, or choosing patience over anger. Seneca too noted that wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. To lead with compassion is to create not only connection but trust. Others want to work with you, walk with you, not because they must, but because they feel seen and valued. And when trust is built on compassion, it becomes the strongest foundation for every bond, friendship, love, or work. In a world that measures strength by hardness, choosing compassion shows that true power lies in what endures within. 10. Emotional intelligence. In a crowded room, you quickly notice who connects with ease. They are not always the loudest, but they seem attuned to the atmosphere, knowing when to be silent, when to speak, when to comfort. This is emotional intelligence, the ability to read yourself and others and to act with harmony, reason, and effect. Emotional intelligence begins with knowing your own feelings. Everyone feels anger, worry, or disappointment, but not everyone knows how to name or manage them. The Stoics taught that emotions are not enemies, but signals for self-awareness and growth. Seneca reminded us that we often suffer more in imagination than in reality, meaning that when we pause to observe our emotions, they lose their power to terrify. Once you have self-awareness, the next step is regulating response. Instead of reacting instantly to criticism, you pause, breathe, and answer from calm rather than rage. That brief pause is where you reclaim control. Epictetus taught that what matters is not events themselves, but how we respond. A small change in reaction can alter the entire outcome. Another pillar of emotional intelligence is empathy. When you listen with your heart as well as your ears, you sense what others do not say. This makes them trust you, and trust becomes lasting influence. In work and in life, people with emotional intelligence are sought after not because they argue best, but because they bring safety and understanding. Emotional intelligence does not form overnight. It grows from constant practice. Each time you choose calm over impulse, listening over interruption, understanding over judgment, you strengthen it. And when it becomes part of who you are not only someone others rely on, you are someone who rules yourself. And for the Stoic, that is the foundation of a steady life. 11. Consistency and reliability. In a society where promises are withdrawn with a short message, consistency and reliability become rare yet priceless virtues. Anyone can make promises, but only a few keep them until the end. And it is these few who build lasting trust, a trust that cannot be bought with words, but only through repeated action. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you will do." A consistent person does not need to advertise their dedication, for their record of action speaks plainly. If they promise to be present, they arrive on time. If they accept responsibility, they complete it even through difficulty. Seneca also affirmed that a promise should never be broken, for breaking it not only destroys another's trust, but erodes one's own self-respect. Consistency not only builds trust, but also brings a sense of safety to those around you. When you know someone will keep their word, you no longer need to worry or stay on guard. At work, a reliable person quickly becomes a pillar, for colleagues know they can be depended upon. In friendship and love, consistency nourishes attachment, for both sides know they need not fear abandonment or betrayal. Yet to be reliable, you must learn to weigh your promises. Consistency does not mean saying yes to everything, but choosing what you can truly do and doing it well. The Stoics remind us that what matters is not doing much, but doing rightly. Thus, keeping the smallest promise is worth more than a host of empty commitments. When you are consistent, you earn not only respect, but recognition as a foundation for others. People feel secure with you in their lives, for they know your presence is not temporary, but enduring. And in a world of constant change, to be a reliable person is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself and those around you. 12. Few words, much meaning. In daily conversations, some speak for hours yet leave nothing behind, while others need only a short sentence to provoke deep thought. The difference lies in quality, not quantity. Speaking little but with weight is not forced silence, but careful selection so that each word carries purpose and value. In a world full of noise and empty talk, this ability becomes a quiet form of strength. The Stoic understands that words are actions, and every action must have intent. Epictetus reminded us, "Nature gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we may listen twice as much as we speak." When you listen more, you not only understand others better, but also make your words rarer and more valuable. Those who speak too much often lose attention, while those who choose their moments create deeper impact. Speaking little with meaning also helps you master emotion. In tense situations, a brief silence before answering can be the difference between explosive conflict and calm dialogue. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to speak only what is necessary and to speak it sincerely. By doing so, you avoid regret and earn trust in your maturity. This practice does not mean being blunt or distant. On the contrary, it creates depth. A single honest compliment is worth more than a dozen flattery lines. A short, direct question can open a more meaningful exchange than a long speech. When every word has intention, others listen more carefully, for they know you do not speak to fill silence, but to add to understanding. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, your choice to speak less makes your voice distinct. And when few words, much meaning becomes a habit, you build not only personal credibility, but also a presence that makes others value every word you speak. 13. Creating space for yourself. In a hurried world, where everyone is online 24/7, knowing how to carve space for yourself is not just a choice, but a strength. We often think constant presence keeps connection alive, but the more you appear, the easier your value is overlooked. When you step back with intent, your presence carries greater weight when you return. The Stoics often stressed the protection of energy and focus. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The more you cling to what lies beyond your control, the more you lose your freedom." The same is true of time and attention. If you give them away entirely, you soon find yourself exhausted, with nothing left for what truly matters. Creating your own space restores mastery, freeing you from the demands of the crowd. This space does not mean complete withdrawal, but balance between presence and absence. It may be time without your phone, an afternoon reserved for books or music, or a short trip for reflection. These pauses not only renew your energy, but also bring clarity of thought. Away from noise, you see yourself more clearly, knowing what to pursue and what is mere distraction. The key is to set boundaries. Not every invitation requires acceptance. Not every message demands instant reply. When you dare to say no to the unnecessary, you are saying yes to peace and self-command. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we lack time, but that we waste so much of it." Creating space is how you stop wasting and begin to live with intention. When you hold room for yourself, you not only protect your strength, but also make your presence more meaningful. Others will sense that when you are there, you are truly there, undistracted, not depleted, but full of attention and vitality. In a noisy world, this balance is what makes you distinct and unforgettable. 14. Mastering your reactions. There are moments when you cannot control what happens, but you can always control your response. A careless word, an unexpected event, or a small mishap can unsettle you, leading to words and actions you later regret. The Stoics believed real power is not in avoiding adversity, but in holding composure within it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If something external harms you, the harm comes not from the event itself, but from how you see it." This means you have a choice, to be ruled by emotion or guided by reason. When you learn to pause, to take one deep breath before replying, you create distance between stimulus and response, and in that distance lies freedom. Controlling your reaction does not mean suppressing emotion. It means awareness. I am angry. I am anxious, but I will not let these shape my action. Seneca said the wise man is not the one who never feels anger, but the one who is not ruled by it. This ability makes you steady, trustworthy, and set apart in the eyes of others. In a world quick to react, your calm becomes a rare magnetism. It not only guards your own peace, but radiates stability to those around you. And at times, the most powerful answer is silent composure. 15. Dressing with intention. Clothing is not mere fabric over the body, but a message you send about how you honor yourself. Dressing with intention does not mean chasing trends or wearing costly brands, but choosing attire that reflects self-respect, neatness, and character. When you appear tidy and fittingly dressed, you show others that you value the meeting, their time, and yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Let your appearance be simple, but your inner life strong and true." This is not a call to neglect, but a reminder that appearance should serve the inner self, not overshadow it. A well-fitted shirt, clean shoes, or neatly kept hair all testify to discipline and self-regard. Dressing with intention also builds confidence. When you feel at ease in what you wear, you walk differently, you speak differently, and that confidence spreads. Seneca said that simplicity is the natural result of deep thought. Instead of showing off, choose refinement and appropriateness. This is not just style, but a way of living. Finally, remember, clothing does not define your worth, but it is the first doorway through which others encounter it. Dressing with intention sends a clear message. I live with awareness. I know who I am, and I step into the world with respect for both myself and those I meet. Looking back at all the principles shared, I realize that true magnetism does not come from trying to become someone else, but from living fully in line with our own nature and values. In the past, I chased approval, tried to please everyone, and in return, received only exhaustion and emptiness. Only when I learned to respect myself, to create space for self-understanding, and to remain steadfast in what truly matters, did I find genuine peace and confidence. I believe everyone can build their own quiet strength through independence, composure, compassion, or simple joy. We do not need noise to be seen, nor perfection to be respected. What matters most is consistency between the inner self and the way we live each day. When you achieve that, you discover that the attraction and worth you sought were always within you. If you found value in these reflections, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next content. Every small step on the journey of self-mastery brings you closer to peace and inner strength. And the most precious thing you can carry is the resolve to live true to yourself in every circumstance, wherever you are. See you in the next video.